NASA leader Raila Odinga wants and is ready for dialogue with President Uhuru Kenyatta. According to a statement by his advisor Salim Loan, Mr. Odinga is ready for a 2008 style of dialogue, but with a caveat. Top of the agenda for dialogue must be electoral justice. The statement says the dialogue must be among equals like it was between him and President Kibaki in 2008. All right, and welcome back to News Center. Now, the Joint Parliamentary Committee on Election of Members to the East African Legislative Assembly will today afternoon table its report in both houses for debate. KTN News has established that two candidates, one from Jubilee Party and another from the opposition National Super Alliance, were disqualified after the committee discovered they are still serving as public officers. Our senior Parliament reporter Patrick Amimo now joins us live from our City Centre studios with more on this. Patrick, good morning. So are we expecting that after tabling of this report that probably voting will take place today?
Thank you, Betty. From the look of things, after the two candidates were deleted from that list of from the ballot papers, it means that we only have 26 candidates who will be contesting for that particular position. And out of these 26, Jubilee has at least 14 who will be battling for the 5 slots. Then the opposition NASA will remain with 11 candidates who will be battling for the 4 slots meant for the opposition. So this afternoon we expect now with the co-chairperson of that committee in the National Assembly, that is Kato Olemetito, to table that report. Yesterday, that committee, yesterday evening, they did sit. It's a joint committee involving the National Assembly and the Senate. They did sit yesterday. The 10 members of that particular joint committee, they sat and decided on the final report that will be tabled in the House. And that's why we saw the 2 members who were disqualified. Initially, we had 5 candidates who had been who were supposed to vie as independents. But out of that, after the scrutiny from the Register of Political Parties, it was discovered that 4 of the candidates were Jubilee members. So they were struck off the list, and there remained one independent candidate. But unfortunately, also for that candidate, he could not meet the threshold of 1,000 signatures, because those signatures are supposed to be from registered voters who are not supposed to be members affiliated to any political party. So it is a tall order for independent candidates to come to this particular, maybe to make a pass mark on in this particular election when it comes to the East African Parliament. But also the law, the East African Community Law, provides that it's political parties that will elect members to the regional assembly. Unlike Kenya, where our constitution allows people to contest as independents, the other state partners do not have that provision. It's only political parties that are recognized in their parliament. So it is, for the Kenyan situation, at least we have seen independents making an effort to come and join the East African Legislative Assembly, but it is a tall order, because now you have to get signatures from 1,000 people who are not members of political parties. And given what we saw last year and in the run-up to at least after 2013, when the Register of Political Parties did ask political parties to provide a party list to the registrar, we saw some people complain that they found their names in political parties they were not aware of. So when a person goes out to solicit for signatures, it becomes a tall order on whether this person who is signing for you, he or she could be a registered voter, but then maybe belongs to a political party, even though in his or her own knowledge it does not belong to any party, but maybe the person has been inadvertently registered as a member of a political party. So that is what is obtaining. We'll be able to know the identity of these members, the 2 individuals who are deleted from participating in the contest after the table is officially, after the report is officially tabled in Parliament, in the National Assembly this afternoon, and in the Senate also, because the committee did sit yesterday. I understand that some members of the committee in the Senate will not be available today, but 1 member will also be able to push that report in the Senate for them to discuss, because the reason why now the Senate sits in the afternoon, and after this particular one, the report is tabled, members will have that opportunity to debate the findings of that particular report, and either decide to adopt or reject it. But the voting will be held on the 13th, which is next week, Wednesday, a day after Jamhuri. That's why we saw yesterday Parliament extend its calendar by at least an extra week, so as to have their sittings extended up to 14th December, which will be Thursday. Then after that Thursday, then members will be at liberty to go to a long recess until February 13th, 2018. That's when they'll be resuming for their second session of the 12th Parliament. But the reason why this particular matter of EALA is very significant is that Kenya is the only state that has not provided its list of 9 members to that regional parliament. And so we are dragging the activities at the regional parliament, because from June 4th, when that house was supposed to be constituted, Kenya did not submit its list, and they've been unable to transact any business, because according to the East African legislative procedures and laws, it says that you cannot transact any business if we have at least a deficit of 4 members from a partner state. So Kenya has not submitted its list of 9. So it means that that regional parliament that is based in Arusha cannot transact any business. But it's of essence that this time around the 12th Parliament is seized of the matter, and they want to pass these particular candidates and to ensure that we have our members in that EALA Parliament by next week, Thursday. So Thursday afternoon, on 13th next week, that's when they'll be voting, and the voting will be from both houses, the National Assembly and the Senate. That's why we've seen they'll be it will be conducted on the 13th in the afternoon, because the Senate nowadays did restructure its sittings to be always held in the afternoon. So that's why the National Assembly will also follow suit, so that they have their elections held on that 13th December, which will be next week, Wednesday, in the afternoon. That's when the elections will be done. But for today, once the report is tabled, we'll see members go debate the report. I expect them to debate it today, tomorrow, and also so that next week they come to elect these particular members who qualify to join that regional parliament. Betty?
Patrick, just stay with me. Let me just update our viewers on what's on the other side of the screen. And like I mentioned, Raila Odinga was supposed to, of course, join family and friends of the people who lost their lives as a result of police brutality. And as you've seen there, he's already arrived at the City Mortuary, flanked by a number of leaders drawn from NASA, including, I've seen Notiendo Amolo, I've seen Esther Pesari, Smili Odhiambo, just to name a few of the leaders who are present there. We'll be crossing over there to follow and hear what's happening in that. But let's now continue with our conversation with Patrick. And Patrick, there's this other proposal that has been tabled by John Buddy, that will see an increase in select and departmental committees, which would also up the number of the members in each committee to about 23 members. What would be the impact and implication of this?
This particular proposal, I think it came on board after we saw in the 11th Parliament, there was an issue that was touching on these former CS devolution Anne Waiguru, when she had a scandal involving the use of money at the NYS. We saw members come to that particular committee that was trying to, the joint committee that was trying to investigate that particular matter. They came posing as friends of the committee. And by that time, we had the National Assembly's committees are composed of 29 members. So for the joint committee at that particular time, we had at least 58 members of parliament from the joint committees. Now, when we have friends of the committee come into it, it becomes a crowd. And we saw that particular date when the members came to that particular committee, they disrupted the sessions, the sittings, and that's what informed that the numbers should be reduced to at least 17 for each committee to have at least 17 members. But it was now a proposal. Looking at it, I think the minority leader in the National Assembly, Madi, decided that at least they need to increase that threshold from 17 to 19, and because that's what the standing orders had agreed, just to ensure that they introduce discipline in the committees. Because when you look at the Senate, each committee is constituted of 9 members, and matters at the Senate are handled in a very sober manner, because when there are few members can be able to discuss and thrash out issues without, even if there are any differences, they can get to agree or agree to disagree. But unlike in the National Assembly, which was a 29 membership, it then becomes a crowd. I think that's what informed this number to be whittled down to 17. But then, from the composition of Parliament, there are 343 MPs, and for you to go at 17, then it means some members might miss out of committees. That's why I think the minority leader in the National Assembly decided to increase the threshold in the National Assembly to 19, which is a view that has been accepted across the board in order to ensure that at least members belong to two committees, one departmental committee and another select committee. Initially, members are allowed to belong to 3 committees, but as it were, there are indications that probably the expenditures might go up. But I think the SRC did put a ceiling on the committee sittings, the drawable allowance in the sittings. Each member is supposed there is a ceiling of 80,000 shillings. So each month for those sittings, we expect MPs to have at least they cannot go beyond 80,000 shillings for those particular sittings. Though we know very, very well that for each sitting, an MP is allowed to get paid 5,000 shillings for sitting allowance. They sit. There's a morning. They count at least half a day is a sitting. So in the morning, when a committee sits in the morning, that's a day. That's one sitting. If they sit in the afternoon, that is another sitting. So in a day, they can have at least a maximum of 2 sittings. And if now there's a provision for 2 committees to belong to 2 committees, then it means a member can have at least can have 4 sittings in a day. But then there is a ceiling, which means that despite that, in a month, the maximum a member of Parliament to a committee can be paid is 80,000 shillings. For the chairpersons and vice chairpersons of committees, they earn 10,000 shillings per sitting. So I think it's something that we saw the SRC try to regulate these particular sittings, because it's not only the Parliament, the National Parliament, that is being affected by this particular sitting, the sitting allowance issues. It cascades to the county level, where we saw the MCAs did really abuse this particular provision, where we saw some were drawing as much as 128,000 shillings in sitting allowances, and that's why we saw the SRC decide that. It put a caveat on the sittings at the county level, where they said members of the county assemblies were to have eight sittings in a week, to ensure that they don't abuse that particular process. So in the National Assembly right now, in Parliament, as we see, most of the work through a parliamentary system, most of the work now is done through committees. Almost 70% of the work is done in the committees. That's why the committees oversight. When there are any bills to be done, they come and scrutinize. If there are any questions to be answered by the cabinet secretaries, cabinet secretaries and principal secretaries come to the committees to answer some of those questions that members of Parliament seek answers to. And it's the chairpersons of those committees that take those reports. After thorough scrutiny, they present those reports to the House. Unlike in the past, in the parliamentary system, where we saw ministers come to answer questions, by this time around with the presidential system, committees have been given that authority, and they do most of the work. Almost 70% of the work is done at the committee level. And what happened is that these committees just come to table those reports to the House for members to debate and either pass and or reject those particular reports or policies that have been held at various levels. So committees are very, very critical in our current system, and the constitutional dispensation that we have. That's why we see it has to be done the way it's supposed to. It is done, and that's why we see also the other thing that has been we've seen members very eager to know maybe which committees they'll be members to, because there are some committees that are very, very active. Some have foreign travel, others have attract more sittings. But then it depends on the job, on the work on hand. Some committees sit even when Parliament is on recess. Others only get an opportunity to sit when Parliament is in session. So those are the intricacies that do inform the committee sitting arrangement. Betty?
All right, Patrick, thank you very much for that detailed update on what really to expect today and on the 13th, which is next week on Wednesday. All right, so I want to just take you briefly to the City Mortuary. Remember, I mentioned that Raila Odinga is part of the mourners there. He is condoling with the family and friends of the people who lost their lives, with the recent protests and clashes between NASA supporters and the police. As you can see, really a somber mood can tell from the faces there of how things are at the City Mortuary. He's joined with a number of leaders from NASA, and we'll be focusing on that. Shortly, we'll be speaking to our Cecilia Wakesho. Hopefully, she's going to get remarks from the NASA leader, Raila Odinga. All right, and I want us to now have our discussion here in studio, and we will be discussing one of the top stories. And like I mentioned when we started, NASA leader Raila Odinga has now said that he is open to dialogue. There's that statement that came out yesterday by his advisor, Salim Lon, and he says that he's ready for a 2008 style of dialogue, but with a caveat. Let's just take a look at part of that statement, and as you can see on your screen there on the graphics, and I'll read it for you. Mr. Odinga has always been open to dialogue before the election. He sought it to ensure that it would be credibly done, I beg your pardon, but there was no interest. The statement goes on to say, all right, let's go to the next set of graphics there. All right, in the dialogue, nor in holding an honest election, he has repeatedly indicated his willingness, and it's in bold for a reason, his willingness to enter into a dialogue even now, if it is moving on swiftly, if it is held between equals, as was done in 2008 between a sworn-in President Kibaki and Mr. Odinga. Mr. Odinga's only condition for dialogue is that it must be and entail electoral justice. All right, so of course that was one of the conditions that was given, that it will be having an agenda which should, unlike in 2008, include electoral justice. So that's just part of that statement by Raila Odinga's advisor, Salim Lon. And we want to base our conversation on that. I want to introduce my guest here in studio, Manuel Hosea. He is a lawyer. We were also set to have Alex Gatundu, but he has not been able to make it for this conversation. But thank you very much, Manuel, for joining us.
Thank you, Betty.
I'd like to hear your thoughts on this statement by Salim Lon. What exactly can you read from it?
I think it's a welcome statement, considering the situation we're in as a country right now. We're coming from an electoral period, and there is a lot of polarization of Kenyans. There are some section of Kenyans who feel like the system has worked against them, and there are some Kenyans who feel like the system has worked for them. And we are at a very critical situation where we need to sit down and ask ourselves, what do we need to do to ensure that we steer this country together forward? So the statement is a welcome move. And remember, before even we went to the elections, I think both parties were discussing the issue of whether they should have dialogue or not on the critical issues. And as you have seen, Salim Lon is raising the issue of electoral justice, and which is the biggest problem we are facing as a country right now. So NASA's statement should be welcomed. Right. And I think Jubilee should take it, or rather the government, the president and the deputy president should take it, should grab that opportunity and sit down with the Raila Odinga and ensure that we steer this country forward together.
And I just want us to run the graphics as we have this conversation. There's a part of this of that statement that reads that should be done with equals. Yes. That is, of course, Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. Yes. And it's saying that it should be in the same fashion as it was back in 2008. So yes. What are you reading from this? Are there any undertones from this?
Yes, I think that is a very good precondition. You remember in 2008, we had Mwai Kibaki and Raila Odinga sitting together, because these are equals. We treat them as equals because they were presidential aspirants, and they actually command a big support from their respective supporters. If you remember, before we went into this election, the 26th election, there was the need from the IEBC. The chairman gave a statement that he wanted to meet both of them, but it was not possible because Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta never even stepped on the IEBC offices for a conversation to ensure that parties are agreeable to the electoral process. And you saw the inequality, because I think President Uhuru Kenyatta used to send his deputy, which doesn't augur well with Raila Odinga, considering that they are at play with Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. So when you want to have a clear conversation, then the players need to sit down together. You cannot send representatives. That would not be perceived well from even the supporters of Raila Odinga. So the conversation should be steered together. And I think it's very important, because it will create an image to the supporters of both parties that these people are agreeable to dialogue.
All right. Yes. We'll continue the conversation, but I just want us to cross back to the City Mortuary. I understand the leaders there are addressing the media. Let's just listen in.
gani ama ni nini, hiyo haitaenda bure. Na hivyo basi mimi ile swali nimekuwa nikisema ni kwamba we are so saddened by this criminal act, so bad, because our boy, the life was terminated, and this boy is so innocent. He does not know anything. He was in the house playing, and of course akauliwa, na tunashindwa ni kwa nini. So we are calling upon the government to investigate, because we believe they have machinery and they have capacity to do so. And we want to see the culprits brought to book. And we want to see justice prevailing in this matter. Not only for Mutinda, but those other families affected. We want to see justice. And again, I'm just wondering, why do we have selective killings? Why do we have selective strategies happening from certain regions? This is so sad. Because sasa ile majina yote inasoma hapo, ukisikiza hiyo majina sehemu zile zimetoka ni sehemu tu fulani fulani ambao ni kama kuchakua. Na mimi sijui, na nobody can convince me that they does select. Hakuna. Kama ni basi imeanguka imeua watu, basi huwa haibebi and especially Nairobi, kabila moja. Itakuwa imebeba watu wa kutoka eneo tofauti tofauti. But for this death in a county like Nairobi, where we have all 44 tribes represented in this country, it should have been at least a mix of 1-1. But when we are seeing a certain region ndio inaridhika, sisi tunasema hapana. Hapo lazima tuchunguze na tujue, tuambiwe kama wananchi wa Kenya ni kitu gani inafanyika, ama ni nani huyu amepanga mpango wa kuua watu kutoka sehemu fulani. Hiyo lazima tuambiwe, kwa sababu hii nchi ni yetu na tuko na haki ya kuishi na kuishi kwa amani na upendo. Kwa hivyo basi, kwa hayo mimi kwangu tu ni kusema hiyo lazima ifanyike, na tunaomba na tunataka haki ifanyike, kwa sababu ni kwa nini watu wanakufa kiolela stahili ambao tunaona wanakufa na kuelekezwa sehemu fulani. Jambo lile lingine ni kwamba kwa watu ambao wameathirika, sisi tunasema pole sana. Mimi nikiwa pale na familia yangu, wale wengine wanatoka sehemu zingine pia tuko pamoja. Na hivyo basi nafasi hii ni kusema tu shukrani kwa ofisi wa kinara wetu wa NASA, Mheshimiwa Honorable Raila Odinga. Ofisi yake na NASA fraternity wameweza kujitoa na kuona kwamba wameweza kungharamia mazishi ya zile familia ambazo zimeweza kuathirika, na si kwa hii leo peke yake. Hapo awali wengine walikuwa wameathirika, wameuliwa na wakaweza kungharamiwa na ofisi ya NASA. Na hivyo basi tunapongeza NASA leadership kwa msaada ambao wamepatia familia. Na hivyo basi tunasema asante Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga, Mungu akubariki na kulinde. Na kwa hayo machache nisasema asanteni kwa kutukumbuka na kwa maombi, na kwa wale wote wengine wamekuwa kituombea kama familia, kama senye simeathirika. Sisi wote tunaendelea na kuwashukuru na tunasema asanteni na tunawapongeza kwa yote. Asante sana Mheshimiwa.
Asante sana. Where we'll have introduction of members of Parliament. And this will be done by the Nairobi Committee
Hamjambo. Kitu ya kwanza ni kusema poleni sana kwa familia zote. Hii sasa imekuwa tangu hiyo election ya 8 August, tumeona watu wengi sana wameuliwa. Tuko na baby Mora, tuko na Stephanie Mora, tuko na baby Pendo, na sasa tuko na mtoto mwingine hapa. Na mimi kama mama, hiyo imenipatia huzuni sana. Nataka kusema hii mambo ya kuchanga pesa na kusaidia Wakenya wenzetu ni kwa sababu tumeona hiyo sio mpango yao. Walitoka kuwa na haki yao ya kufanya demonstration. Kusema sisi hatupendi hii kitu. Wengine hata hawakuwa na demonstration, wako kwa nyumba yao. Kuna mama moja Kibira ana miaka 67, single mother. Alikuwa kwa nyumba yake anakaa kwa kitanda yake. Tulimshindikiza wiki iliyopita. alipigwa bastola, bullet iliingia kwa nyumba yake ya Kibra na akakufa hapo. Sasa mimi nataka kusema kwanza poleni. Sisi NASA chini ya the Right Honorable Raila Odinga tuliamua tutasaidia families kwa sababu tuliona serikali haijali. Kama imewaua hata hawajasema pole, si ndio? Sasa sisi tumesema tutawasaidia na Right Honorable Raila Odinga ndio alitusaidia na tukaunganishwa wenyekiti wote wa NASA na marafiki za NASA na Wakenya ambao wameona pia huzuni, na tuko na komiti na ambao tuko hapa na wenzangu. Kuna Honorable Simba Arati, Millie Odhiambo, Gladys Wanga na wengine ambao hawako hapa. Sote tumesema tufanye hii kazi na tusaidie mafamili, na tunasema pia sisi tuko na wakili shujaa. Tumehakikisha postmortem zote ambao walikuwa wanaandika vibaya zimefanywa vizuri, na tumerudia postmortems nyingi sana, ili saa ile tunataka kutafuta haki yenu tutapata hiyo haki. Na sasa mimi nataka kusema kila family tulinunua masanduku, tumepanga basi za kuwapeleka, tumelipa mortuary charges, na juu yake tukasema unajua mkienda nyumbani mtakuwa na gharama zingine. Kila family tumesema itapewa shilingi 50,000. Na hiyo pesa mimi ninaomba kwa sababu tumeileta hapa leo, tunataka hizo families representatives ambao wako hapa Pastor Lumumba anawajua, mkiitwa tunataka labda Right Honorable Raila Odinga apatie families baada ya kuzungumza na nyinyi. Poleni sana na mweke Mungu mbele, na tunajua haki yenu itakuja hivi karibuni. Asanteni.
Kwa familia ya wale ambaye wametuacha, wale ambaye wamelazwa hapo ndani ya masanduku na jeneza, kwa niaba ya viongozi wote ambaye wamefika hapa wa NASA, tunasema poleni. Poleni sana sana kwa kupoteza wapendwa wenu. Sisi zote ambayo tuko hapa tukisimama mbele ya yale majeneza, tuko na huzuni ambayo haina kifani. Tukiangalia wale ambayo wako hapa chini, wengi wao ni watoto wadogo. Haswa huyu mtoto Godfrey Mutinda, mtoto alilaziwa miaka 10, ambaye sasa ana miaka 7. Alizaliwa miaka 10, yani 2010. Yeye sasa ana umri wa miaka 7. Alizaliwa mwaka ile ambayo tulipata katiba mpya. Amepoteza maisha akiwa ako kwa nyumba. Amepigwa risasi. Risasi ambayo imemuua ni risasi ya serikali. Tuna huzuni kusikia yule mkuu wa polisi ya Nairobi akisema ati huyu mtoto aliuawa na wananasi. Hakuna muuaji ambaye anaitwa wananasi. Muuaji ni mtu mmoja ambaye alirusha risasi. Kama alikuwa yeye ni mfuasi wa NASA, angenaswa na kushtakiwa. Huwezi kutusi taifa la Kenya kuambia ati mob justice. Polisi wamekuwa wanatusi wa Kenya na maneno machafu, wanasema victims of mob justice. Hao wote ukiangalia mizoga yao walipigwa risasi. Wengi wa hao watu walipigwa risasi siku ile ambayo tulitoka ng'ambo tukirudi hapa, kutoka kwa kiwanja wa ndege hadi Uhuru Park. Makosa yetu ilikuwa ni kurudi nyumbani ni kulakiwa. Hawa hawakuwa wahalifu, hawakuwa wezi. Wiki jana tulizika mtoto mmoja wa miaka 32 ambaye hata hakuenda huko uwanja wa ndege. Yeye alikuwa anafanya hapa Ngong Road. na alitoka hapa Ngong Road akirudi nyumbani. Kufika hapa Mudhurwa katakatwa na panga. Wakati ile sisi tulikuwa tunapitia kutoka pale kutoka uwanja wa ndege. Vitendo kama haya mpaka zilaniwe vikali na wale watu ambaye wanaheshima kwa maisha ya binadamu na watu ambaye ni wanapenda demokrasia katika taifa letu. Tunajua uchungu ambaye wazazi, mandugu na madada ya hawa wote ambayo wamelala hapa wako nazo wakati huu. Nataka mjue ya kwamba sisi tuko na nyinyi, lakini maisha haiwezi kurejeshwa tena hata mtu akitoa bilioni ngapi. Kwa hivyo hii ni upotevu ya maisha, na wale ambao wanafanya haya ni wanyama, si binadamu. Tunalaani vikali yale ambayo yamefanyika hapa. Tuna huzuni kuona ya kwamba tangu yale yafanyike hakuna hata moja kutoka kwa serikali ambaye amenena kusema pole kwa waifiwa. Hakuna hata moja ambaye amesema pole kwa wale ambao wameifiwa hapa. Na serikali hajitokeza kusema italitoa ridhaa kwa familia ya wale ambao wamelala hapa. Tunasema lazima serikali ijitokeze na iseme itatoa ridhaa, compensation for the lives of these heroes of our country. Tuna vile huzuni kuona kwamba hata mataifa ambayo wanajisema ni marafiki ya Kenya, hakuna hata moja yao ambaye ameongea tangu yale yafanyike mpaka leo kulaani upotevu ya maisha ya Wakenya. Tangu tarehe 8 mwezi wa 8 mpaka leo watu 215 wameuawa na serikali na polisi. Hakuna hata moja ambaye ameongea juu ya yale. Sasa tunaishi katika ulimwengu tofauti. Wakati mwingine kulikuwa na neno ilikuwa inaitwa haki ya binadamu. Tulikuwa hapa na mabalozi ambao walikuwa wanaweza kujitokeza na kuongea juu ya uvunjaji ya haki ya binadamu katika taifa letu. Hayo yote sasa hakuna. Tunajua kama Wakenya tuko peke yetu. Tuko peke yetu. Wale ambao wanajiita marafiki kwa kweli ni maadui ya Wakenya. Lakini nchi ya Kenya itajengwa na marekebisho itafanyika kwa mikono ya Wakenya, sio wageni. Kwa sababu hivyo mimi ningetaka kushauri Wakenya wasimame imara, waendelee mbele na yale ambayo wanafanya. And I just want to say, for the benefit of those who do not understand our national language, that today is a very sad day for us, another one, when we were escorting all these dead heroes of our revolution, felled by the bullets of trigger-happy policemen. These are not victims of mob justice. These are victims of police brutality. And if anybody had any doubt in his mind, this is a reality check. Seeing these bodies lying in these coffins here. We condole with the families of these people who have been killed here. In front of me is the body of a young 70-year-old child, Geoffrey Mutinda, who was playing in the balcony of their residence and was shot by an uncaring police officer who then drove away. It is an insult to the memory of the family and Kenyans for a police officer in charge of Nairobi to come out and say that he was killed by NASA supporters. There's no criminal called national supporter. A criminal is a criminal. A murderer is a murderer. Whoever killed this boy is a criminal whom should be brought to book. Don't insult Kenyans by saying that it was a mob justice. There's no crime called mob justice. No criminal called, called mob justice. This, we know because the bullet which cut short the life of this young man has been found. And it's a police bullet. It's official. So the government need to apologize. The government need to apologize not only to the parent of this young boy, the parents of all these, the relatives of all those who have been killed from August 8th up to now, who totally number 215 people who have been killed. We are saddened and shocked at the silence of our so-called friends of Kenya, who are represented in this country. Up to today, not a single embassy or ambassador has raised their voice to condemn this wanton killing of innocent Kenyan people. On the day that we arrived from the United States, coming into town, through a peaceful procession, we lost 18 lives by the time we arrived at the Uhuru Park. 2 days later, innocent Kenyans were butchered at Roraka. Since that time up to now, 215 people have been killed. Nobody's talking about it. Yet they have the impudence and audacity to come and advise us, forget and move on. We do not recognize the elections of 26th of October this year. We do not, and we will not recognize them. That's why we have said that we do not recognize the swearing in into office as a result of the so-called elections of 26th of October. We don't. We will go by the result of elections of 8th of August, when the Kenyans expressed their will. And we will not be intimidated. The Kenyan problems will be resolved by Kenyan people. Our friends can give us advice. Give those advice in private. Don't come and shout at us and tell us that we are going to violate Constitution. Which Constitution, my foot? We, as Kenyans, will resolve the Kenyan problem as Kenyans. And we are talking on behalf of millions and millions of Kenyan people. The will of the Kenyan people is not going to be stopped. It's unstoppable.
Yes.
We will move and we will do what is right for the people of Kenya. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, lately I was listening down to what the University of Liverpool friends.
What is your voice of thanks? What is your thanks?
Yes, now before we
He has the envelopes.
envelopes that we want to give.
Transparency. We've got 800,000 here. 50,000 for each family.
Thank you so much. Ningependa sasa kwa wale wetu watu ambao wako, we know the next of kin, please. Ningependa nianze na next of kin of mtoto mdogo Geoffrey Mtinda. Ningependa chairman na mkaa wake na bwana hiyo ndio wanasema wamefika. His Excellency as mother.
All right, so the families there of the victims of the police brutality and the protest, the clash between protesters and the police, they're receiving, the families receiving 50,000 shillings. Remember that maybe a week or two ago, there was that fundraiser that was supposed to come up with some funds that would assist the families of the people who were deceased. And of of course, we've had the Nairobi woman representative, Esther Passaris, saying that support has been given to the families with regard to transport to their respective destinations, plus that 50,000 that will be given to each family to ensure that they have some money with the expenses that come from the burials. But also just listening to NASA leader Raila Odinga there and the sentiments that he's echoed. First of all, he's come out very strongly to say that there's really no embassy that has come out, to talk about what has been happening and condemn the brutality that he says has been meted on innocent Kenyans by police. He says that nobody has come out, nobody, so-called friends of Kenya, that's what he says, has come out to actually condemn this sort of brutality and the killings that have been happening in the country. He says that there are about 215 people who have been killed as a result of that clash between police officers and supporters of NASA and just normal Kenyans who are going about their days, and one way or another they lost their lives through the bullet. He also says that continues emphasizing that NASA still does not recognize that there was an election back in 26th of October, and he says that NASA doesn't also recognize the swearing in of President Uhuru Kenyatta. So we'll be continuing to focus on what's happening there. As you can see that the family is being handed out some money, the 50,000 that Esther Passaris talked about to assist with the expenses. So we want to take a short break, but we're coming back. We'll be still focusing on what's happening there, but we'll also be continuing with our coverage. Don't go away.